Hi guys, and welcome back to Cammie's Kitchen. I am super excited because today we will be cooking one of my family's favorite meals, homemade from scratch lasagna. For this specific recipe, I am trying my new hot plate. I'm so excited about it. Holy cow, can y'all hear that? That is like a whole freaking AC unit under there. The base of your sauce is going to be a sauteed garlic, onion, and tomato mixture. I am not a huge fan of tasting onion in my food, so I'm gonna just chop them up into smaller pieces and stick them into my mini chopper like this to make sure that the flavor of the onion comes through, but I'm not gonna get large chunks of onion when I'm biting into my meat. We want to add the entire onion. While the garlic and the onion are sauteing, we want to take advantage and chop up our tomatoes. I like to use these large tomatoes for this specific recipe, as well as leave the skin on. Now this is going to be kind of personal preference, but you should note that if you do leave the skin on, you will get a thicker texture in your sauce. If you want a smoother consistency in your sauce, then you definitely want to remove the skin. Although if you're doing what I'm doing and putting everything in a chopper, then it won't really matter because essentially the skin will disintegrate. Let's check on our onion, give it a little stir before we add our tomato sauce. Also, if you do not want to go through the trouble of doing all of this mess with the tomatoes, you can also just get canned tomato sauce, and that will work just as good. Last thing we want to add to our sauce is a fresh basil. This is completely optional. I just love growing fresh herbs, and this just happens to be one of the few that I can actually keep alive. You guys, this smells incredible already. At this point, we just want to allow all the flavors of those fresh veggies come through without any seasoning except for my favorite, Italian. By this point, your sauce should start looking nice and bubbly, and you'll know it's time to add the meat when the tomatoes go from bright red in color to like a darker red. As far as ground beef, you want to prepare at least 2 pounds for this recipe. I love using the 7% lean ground beef, specifically from H-E-B. I have tried Costco, I have tried Kroger, and I feel like nothing compares to H-E-B quality. I don't know. And I am a Publix girl like all around, so that says a lot. There we go. In order to maximize the cook time of the meat and make sure that it soaks up as much of that sauce as possible, we want to make sure it's covered and it's on medium to high heat for at least 10 minutes. Now that our meat has started to cook, it's officially time to start seasoning. As you guys know, I love this chupacabra bring, so I'm going to incorporate that as well as some garlic powder. And last but not least, because you guys know I absolutely cannot live without my Italian seasoning, a little more Italian. There is something about this smell that makes me want to pour myself like a really fat glass of red wine. Make sure you keep in mind that we will be adding the ricotta cheese directly into our meat sauce, so you want to make sure that the meat is really nice and seasoned. Once your meat is fully cooked and you're happy with the seasoning, it's time to add the last 2 ingredients, which are cream cheese. This is about maybe half of one of those little packets, as well as half of a container of ricotta cheese, and I got the small container. At this point, this is going to encompass probably 90% of your lasagna, so you want to make sure that you continuously try it until it tastes exactly how you want your lasagna to end up tasting. Now that our meat sauce is perfect, make sure you turn it down to low while we prepare our lasagna noodles. We're gonna add some salt because nobody likes some bland pasta. And then we are going to add our lasagna sheets. So usually for a normal size lasagna pan, I use 3 of these per layer. I don't know if we'll be able to get to 3 layers because I made 2 pounds of meat sauce and that's a lot. But we're gonna cook 9 sheets just in case. I'd rather have more than not enough. This is actually my first time using these kind of lasagna sheets that you have to actually cook. I usually buy the oven ready sheets, which actually is a thing. You literally just take them directly out of the box and start layering your lasagna. So if you're on a time crunch, definitely recommend getting those. In the meantime, we want to start preheating our oven to 375. 10 minutes later, our pasta is completely drained and we have everything we need to start layering. Let's do it. In any normal lasagna, the first thing you want to add to the bottom of your pan is sauce in order for your noodles to not stick. Unfortunately, because we combined the sauce with the meat and the cheese, we don't have any sauce by itself. So we're just going to add a very thin layer of our meat sauce just to put something underneath that first lasagna sheet. The order of the layers goes as follows. It's a lasagna sheet, then it's the meat sauce, and then we're gonna finish off the layer with nice shredded cheese. This is a combination of mozzarella and cheddar jack. I always like to mix my cheeses, but you can absolutely use whatever kind of cheese you prefer. Oh my goodness, I do not know if we are going to make it to our third layer. It is looking pretty full already, and we're only on layer 2. Oh no. Or it looks like I'll be having some meat sauce for lunch this week. Okay, we are going to try to do that last layer. At this point, I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. The worst that can happen is that I put this in the oven and it completely overflows and makes a huge mess inside my oven, which would be bad. But I think we should be fine. We will be fine. This is my absolute favorite part of the lasagna. I like to bake it and then broil the top for just a few minutes. Once you're happy with your lasagna, we're gonna stick it in the oven for 20 minutes. Now that it's been a full 20 minutes, the lasagna is looking beautiful. All we need to do is get that golden crispy top that we were talking about. In order to achieve this, we're gonna turn the oven to broil and broil it for 5 minutes. This looks beautiful. Optional, but again, highly recommended. Some fresh Parmesan cheese on top. And that is it, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. If you decide to try this recipe at home, please let me know in the comments below how you liked it, and make sure to check out all my other videos.